Welcome back to another edition of Sound Sirens. I'm your host Thomas Ornis, and today it's our 100th episode. And
Oh, that's right.
yeah, it's gonna for the Houston game. We'll do some Houston recap. We'll analyze the Nate Shieldhouse leaving to the Rams. We're still in the Big 12 race. We're still looking a good spot. We'll share a spot in the Big 12 for the first time since '01. So I mean, Tyrese Haliburton had a crazy weekend in the All-Star game, and I think it's never. I don't think been a better time to be a Cyclone fan, honestly, for entertainment wise. Just national media and local media is just obviously like Caitlin Clark has been taking a lot of the media, but this year it's been a great year for a Cyclone fan. Just media
Yeah, I
wise.
mean, it's good. You got to go back to, gosh, I would guess the Tinsley Pfizer days when we kind of splashed onto the scene. I mean, I guess, I mean, um, that might be the last time that we had this much attention. I don't know. I mean, it was. I remember that time as being, kind of a kind of a shock to everybody that we were ended up being that good. I remember having many conversations, man, saying we could actually win this thing, and then we were playing so well down the stretch, and then everybody started paying attention. But Tinsley had the flash, you know, component that he was on so many highlights, and that was also pre-social media, and then this other crap that was going on with Twitter and stuff, and YouTube wasn't around. I mean, so you're relying on ESPN basically only. So yeah, it's I just rewatched most of the game again this morning when we said we're going to do this today, and it was such a rock fight for a game, and our kids played so well, and obviously could have played better, but um, it was just that we were not matched by any stretch. I mean, even when we are struggling to score, we were not matched. It's just a rock fight. Shed is fantastic. I mean, he's a terrific player.
Yeah, he hit every
Um,
big shot that he could. Every big shot, every big
yeah,
opportunity they had, they made it. And like it seemed like every time when I rewatching the highlights, it's just like every time we made like man, we're back in it, and it's like man, they hit a three right or a big player or an and one right after that, and
and we shot ourselves in the foot a couple times too. I don't know if you remember. Oh, midway through the first half, we were starting to play a little better, and Rob steals the ball right in front of our bench and tries to throw it ahead and throws it right back to Houston. And then that next possession, Houston gets an and one. And so that's a huge swing right there. But, that's going to happen. We just can, players get caught up in the moment, and playing faster than they like. We have analysts saying, like Jess Settles, I think, said that we like speeding teams up mentally, and I think we got sped up a little mentally the other night too. So, but it was fun. I mean, it was like watching a Final Four game on somebody else's floor.
yeah, it was.
I
And
mean,
we
it,
and
it was that intense.
our team didn't fold at all. We just went right
No,
back at it, like especially when we had 4 points for the longest time. It's like man, Houston's really gonna step on the throttle here and just like leave us in the dust. But we kept it on the pressure, and Houston, man, they really respect us. And I think we need like a 7 game series with them because like that would be very entertaining. Because man, they're just really fun. I think they all respect each other. It's not like a rivalry, like chippiness. It's
right?
like we're both really good at the same style, and I think it's kind of very weird how it lines up to like when we were past where we're like in the Big 12 race with the coach from Houston with Oklahoma, and I think it'd be pretty awesome if we can somehow end up both in the the title game in Kansas City because I think that obviously would be like 100% 90% Iowa State fans, and it would kind of be like a West Virginia game of Deontay Burden where it was like 100 almost all Iowa State fans, and I think we could set ourselves up for success because the way we're playing on right now on defense, it really doesn't. Our offense can it come whenever because when we have that solid base of a defense, our it just shows like that game. Like we just if we just keep our intensity on defense, offense will come eventually. But and like Milan's not like he's missed his last 9 threes, and so I think that's kind of a good thing for us because like we're saving his best basketball for the end of the year. I think because he's not like the confidence is still not like wavering in him. He like those and one like in the mid range jumpers, like he nails them. It's like man, that is just tough shot, and he just nails it left and right. And every time I see him, it's like man, if he can come back next year, he's going to be a monster.
Oh, he's got to come back
Yeah.
next year. I mean, he's struggling to get open in the Big 12. I mean, that's and some of that has to do with the defensive rules compared to the NBA. But I think would be shocked if he went anywhere. I mean, I could be all wet, but I mean, his and one that he did the little pump fake at the free throw line was against Shed.
Yeah.
And Shed pretty much, about jumped over him. I mean, Jed hit him with his leg on his shoulder, and it was a terrific play. But I think Milan's got a lot of work to do. I mean, he's not shooting the greatest right now, and that's because he's getting pressured. And sure as heck isn't going to be less pressure when you're playing in the NBA. I'd hate to see him, end up in the G League for a long time or something like that, because I think he really seems like he's enjoying the college experience, and he's a good kid and works hard and is getting better every night. So, yeah, it was. I think Kelvin Sampson was a big Larry Eustachy fan. I mean, I remember him and Larry really were, had a lot of respect for each other. And Kelvin in his post game comments made a lot of the same comments he made back then. Talked a lot about how tough they are and how tough we are, and when you're playing two defensive teams, the offense is going to be really hard, and that's really what it was. I mean, we were just a couple plays either way of making that a one possession game at the end. But in my opinion, that we lost it out of the offensive end the first 10 minutes. I mean, when you can only score when you only score 4 points at the beginning of a game against a team like that, boy, it's a struggle. And when we really easily could have got it back to even, but we never could get it closer than 3. So,
And like in the end of the game, it's like, man, it's just a ride the line where Vegas just has. I'm like, Vegas just knows something because it's always. I don't know. Every time I pay
right.
attention to the line, it's always like almost exactly where it is every time.
Texas Tech game was that way.
Yeah.
We're blowing them out.
And then just
And then Texas Tech, if they hit that last shot, they cover.
yep. And
I mean, it was.
yeah, it was. I don't know. We just we needed like a start when we had at Texas, but Texas is obviously a lot lower skill and like camaraderie wise versus Houston. I think Houston probably like if they won the national title, I would not be shocked at all because they have the exact pieces for March. I would not want to look, but at the same time, if they go cold on offense and like I think there could be a team or a Cinderella team that could just go off on them, and it's just like
Sure.
like it just happens, and that's why. With March, there's no guarantees. It's just nice to have a team where we have guards like Gilbert and Lipsy had a struggling game. Like that was probably Lipsy's worst game on the road, but
Yeah.
I think he kind of got dinged up during the game. He's just so physical and just like it was such a physical game, and he just obviously just it's such a tough and like the 7,000 people fans like it's a Big 12. It's basically a Big 12 title game, and like going into it, they changed it to the Big Monday game, and I think overall, I think people came more impressed with Iowa State rather than Houston, honestly, because the way
Sure.
we just didn't give up and just took it on the nose. And man, it was just kind of, it was just kind of like a shade of they got exactly the breaks that we got at home flipped. And they
Yeah.
just got like Watson throwing out of bounds. We could have, like Lipsy had a breakaway, like he was trying to go 1 of 4, got stolen. Just like so many like plays where we got the turnover and then we immediately turned it over again. That's where we
Right.
kind of get in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to disagree with you on the whole Big 12 tournament thing. I don't want to see him again. I mean, I really don't think if we play them again, I want it to be in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be much more satisfying because if we play them in the Big 12 tournament, we're going to beat the hell out of each other again, and then have to turn around to try to play on Thursday. And Taman doesn't look right. I mean, his left shoulder is really bothering him. You can see he was grabbing it after a couple plays, but Houston really made a concerted effort to be as physical as possible on Taman. I mean, because they were from the beginning of the game, they were denying him the ball. I mean, they wouldn't let him get the ball back once he passed it, and then they were bumping him and shoving him every chance they possibly could. And I think that takes its toll on. When you're not healthy, that takes its toll on you. And when he threw that one hand in the second half, where he's going full speed and the ball got about 11 feet off the ground and banked in, then that's when you can really notice he was grabbing his shoulder. So, do you think do we sit him this weekend? I mean, against West Virginia,
I don't know, like because every time he drives left and there's a left hand layup, he does not use left hand ever.
right?
He has yet to do it
Right.
ever since the injury. He switches to his right every time, and it's kind of blocked most of the time. But
Yeah, as a guy that's had a lot of shoulder problems from sports over my lifetime,
It
that's
lingers,
a
right?
pretty good sign. It's a pretty good sign that you don't want to lift your hand above your head. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I West Virginia didn't look great last night. I watched most of the UCF game with them, and but gosh, I'd hate to not suit him up at all, and then have things go south on us. Um, maybe they just suit him up and let him, stay warm in case we would need him, because every game is so important right now as far as the regular season race goes, and seeding, and
Yeah,
everything else. I mean, man, it was a crazy night though last night. I mean, the UConn getting their ass kicked by Creighton,
yeah,
that kind of shakes things up a little bit, because that could have easily been us. I mean, that could have been us going to Houston getting beaten by 26 or whatever it was, but it wasn't. And UConn got beat by Kansas earlier this year. So I mean, it sure as helps the Big 12 argument that we're the best team, the best league in the conference, and then BYU takes out Baylor. So if Baylor can figure out a way to beat Houston, we're right back at the top of the Big 12.
yeah. I don't know. It's a crazy league, and I think every team is so even. Like I think there's a little where I think it's Houston, us, and then maybe Baylor's kind of sneaking in. When Baylor plays really good, holy crap, they're good on offense. But obviously, I didn't watch any of the BYU game yesterday. But BYU is going to be a tough play on the road for every team.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think you don't look back and don't look past that UCF game that we've got down
Yeah,
there. I mean, UCF has been playing pretty well down there too. I mean, and then we still have BYU at home, but I don't know if you caught it. Fran Fraschilla mentioned this obscure, and because I never heard of it, basketball site talking about the kill shot thing with 10 points. If you scored 10 points in a row, he calls that a kill shot. And he referenced who came up with that term. And so I went on that website today, and actually signed up for it, because it's a guy that's got his PhD in statistics, that does stuff, or must be a basketball geek. And he's got a chart. He talks about kill shots per game. Houston has kill shot, meaning they have 10-0 runs. And Houston is averaging 1.16 kill shots per game right now, whereas Kansas is averaging 0.52, and we're averaging 0.96 kill, almost one full 10-0 run a game right now. And then he also shows kill shots conceded per game, how many 10-0 runs you give up. Houston gives up zero point 0.2, Kansas 0.32, us 0.33, and Baylor 0.21. And the worst team in the league for giving up kill shots is Cincinnati, and they're Texas Tech, and they're at 0.56. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting that statistically, the statistics still love Kansas about as much as Seth Greenberg.
yeah.
I mean, what he
My
said
God.
before the game, that was the most ridiculous thing. But,
Like
you know,
you're previewing the basically like what it's been previewed like the whole week that it's like or the whole weekend that it's going to be like the Big 12 championship game, and then the whole thing is about Kansas. Like,
right.
can you give us a break?
Yeah. I
Both
mean,
and obviously Houston got murdered at Kansas, but we beat Kansas like fair and square. Like we should
and
have
we
beaten
beat
by more,
Houston.
and we beat them Houston too. But I don't know. The media is just they need something, some revamp. There needs to be some new young talent to come up, and I don't know why. I don't. Maybe just kids don't want to do it. Maybe just I don't. I just feel like there's not as much new talent as there was back in the day, where that was like some kid's dream to do that.
Well,
I'm not.
ESPN isn't what ESPN used to be.
I know. It's
I mean, they're not the only dog in the fight anymore. So Seth Greenberg, coached for a while. I think he coached at Virginia Tech at one time, and kind of parlayed his average coaching years into a really well-paying ESPN gig. I mean, similar. I mean, I love Fran Fraschilla to death. And this is going to sound like a slight on him, but it's not meant to be. I mean, Fran Fraschilla didn't have the greatest coaching career, and he's parlayed that into being one of the best analysts there is. And I think the reason people like Fran Fraschilla is that he is overall really positive almost with every single team.
yep.
I mean, he rarely says anything negative about a team. He might get a little too lovey-dovey or whatever you want to call it with Kansas, and be a little over the top with that, like other teams are. But I think Fran's just whole positive attitude he has towards the game in general is what makes people want to to kind of gravitate to him. But there's a reason that in these big games they got Fran Fraschilla on the color call and not Seth Greenberg.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, that, yeah, the broadcast. It's just I feel like we complain about it when we lose and like play bad, but like when we're playing well, we just don't. We talk about it. It's just like we always find stuff to complain about, but it's just it would be nice if like the Brett Musburgers, the people the Vern Lundquist, those the old timers that have been done it forever. I think
I think we're having
we're
some technical difficulties.
never fine. And whenever we can just get a new batch of talent and like Gus Johnson and like I don't know, we just need some like new level type guy to be good. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was kind of frustrating too. But I mean, yeah, what are you going to say about the Houston game? I mean, that was, turned out about as good as it possibly could after the way it started. And they're playing an arena that's about the size of our parquet. So I mean, it's like Baylor's tiny little gym they've got now, and some of these other small venues. That I still mind blowing to me, as popular as college basketball is that teams with the budgets that Baylor and Houston has is they build places that hold 7,000 people.
it's all about
And people go back to
it's all about how it looks on TV because when they had
right.
those big arenas and no one showed up, it's really hard to hide the no crowd. And I
Did
think
you see it? Did you notice the lighting at Houston?
yeah,
I mean, you
Iowa
could
State
see the top row.
Iowa
It
State
looked
does
like
the same
Hilton
thing though.
used to.
Iowa State does the same thing. That's why like I think fans like the old lighting because there's no they turn on the lights. It's the same brightness every time, but the new ones they dim it to where the crowd is every time, and that's how the TV
Yeah.
likes it, and that's how they market it, and that's just the way it is. But
Yeah.
yeah. So did you
Yeah,
think?
it's
Did you
amazing.
watch in the?
I'm still a little blown away that how these analytics still like Kansas so much. I mean, I'd really like to see Kansas drop another one so they kind of get out of the conversation. But
And I
that's just
think
me.
their players they have a good core five, and they're all
Sure.
old core five, and I think that has a huge part of it. And Allen Fieldhouse is a huge part of it, and I don't know. They just Bill Self obviously a factor that he's like the best coach in the country. I think that has probably a huge part of it too, because whenever it gets to March, it's either like they're gonna succeed, like go all the way to Final Four, or lose in the first round. So,
Right.
but so then they're a great team to market, and I don't know. Did you watch any of the All-Star weekend? The Tyrese Haliburton?
I
Not
watched some of the skill stuff with Tyrese. I watched the 3-point contest off and on, and then I stopped watching. I didn't watch the dunk contest, and I didn't watch any of the game, to be totally honest with you.
yeah, that I don't know. It just maybe it's just because I'm older and more cynical, but it's just so silly. They need to maybe take a year or two off and just revamp it because the skills challenge. Anthony Edwards shot left-handed, shot everything left-handed. Just like imagine like those tickets probably were pretty damn expensive to get in that, and
Oh,
you're
can you
seeing
imagine?
these guys just fool around. But Tyrese played should have won the MVP. Had the great it was just great marketing. Man, people talking about he could be the face of the league in the future when LeBron and Curry retire. And it's like, man, if that can happen, and Tyrese is going to get paid so much, and his tax write offs are going to go to the We Will Collective probably, and give us give Milan some more extra dollars or Gilbert in the off season, which I think that is just perfect timing for Iowa State. Like Purdy is going to get a huge contract eventually, and then Tyrese like Haliburton, like great timing for because like that extra cash is just what we need because we have a core foundation set. We just need a little extra help, and I think
Sure.
having those good pros are good timing for the environment we're in for college athletics.
Well, we need Brock Purdy to get paid too. You know what I mean? So he can't afford to give much now. I mean, the Tyrese Haliburton highlight that I liked the most was his white chocolate pass, where
Yeah,
he did the pass off his elbow. Wasn't He didn't have a lot on it, but it got to where it was supposed to be. I mean, that was kind of fun. But I mean, I think the commissioner wanted him to make it more competitive and went the opposite direction. I mean, it just
they did it. They even put charities. Like each team had a charity, and like the
yeah.
one, and they still didn't try. It was just like I don't
You got
know.
to go back and watch highlights of the old All-Star games where they're beating the hell out of each other. I
I
mean,
think a huge part of it is they're getting paid so much money for like why
sure,
would they care?
right? They don't get hurt. I mean, I don't. I would probably think the same thing. I mean,
But like the best All Star game, and I think it'll never be touched is the baseball one. Baseball
Yeah.
MLB is the best because they actually try 100% kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if you in your chances of getting hurt in a baseball all-star game are much lower than they are
Yeah.
in a unless you got a guy throwing at somebody. I mean, but they're much less likely to get hurt during a all-star game in the baseball. But if you had to go, you need to go back on YouTube and watch an old Pete Rose highlight. It's an old one. I wasn't very old, and Pete Rose comes in, does a headfirst slide into the catcher to try to win the all-star game, and hits the catcher on the fly and separates the catcher's shoulder. The catcher was from the A's, and I'm not sure that catcher played much the rest. That was pretty much almost the end of his career. That was from the All Star game.
Oh,
So I
that's
mean,
tough.
that's what. And then I think the NFL was similar to that way too back in the day. But that was back when they weren't. They probably had a pretty hefty bonus if you won the All Star game, and they weren't getting paid much, in the regular season. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, so we got West Virginia Saturday. Then what do we got? We got BYU after that.
Yeah, it's West Virginia. First time that having Huggy come to town. The stool. Gonna miss
Oh
that.
yeah,
It's gonna be weird not seeing Huggy out there, and I don't even know their coach. Honestly, I have no idea what their
I
coach's
don't even
name
know who it
is.
is either.
I think.
I didn't. I just put it together last night that Johnny Dawkins is the coach of UCF. So
Yeah.
now we got West Virginia, then Oklahoma. We got 2 home games in a row. Then we go to UCF. That's the one. That's the one out of all of those that worries me the most, to be totally honest with you.
But I
And
think
I'm sure Kansas State's going to be up for their game, even though they're struggling right now too. When we finish the regular season.
reason why it doesn't worry as much as like the Fred teams, or because we didn't like it was all offense. Like if we didn't show up on our offense, we would lose by
Right.
20, even to bad teams. Like there was one time where it was John Kane team where I was actually playing high school a game during this, and I was just like, for some reason, I was like, I don't even like because we were so good back then. It's like, man, we should handle West Virginia, and we lost. I think we lost by 30.
Get blown out.
We lost by 30.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay, whatever. But
Yeah, I couldn't. I remember I was sitting in the stands watching you, and then trying to follow it on my phone, and said, "Man, we're just getting our butts kicked." But yeah, I mean the tickets are getting harder. I mean, if you look at StubHub or any place like that, tickets for Saturday are pretty tough to get. I mean, there's not many left, so it should be a good crowd. I really wish. I've been to several games in the last couple of weeks, and I bought a single and sat down in the parquet on Saturday. And I just really wish the big hitters that have the really good seats, if you can't go, put them up on Ticketmaster or StubHub. I mean, there were 4 seats in front of me that were not on Ticketmaster that sat empty the entire game. And you look around the parquet, there's quite a few seats. There's more seats available in the parquet than there is in the balcony. And so if there's people that are you can't go, or it's a corporation that owns those tickets, resell the damn thing so we can get people, so people can have a chance to sit there, because it's a whole different experience. Because I tell you what, sitting down there just watching Keyshawn that close, you really don't have any idea how good this kid is watching it on TV. His inside out move is so fantastic. You can do it with either hand. He plays so fast. He plays so hard. Demarion Watson, same way. I mean, Demarion Watson is a freak athlete, in my opinion. He plays super hard as well. And then you just get to see the interaction between the players and the other team. And it's just a different experience when you get a chance to sit close. And so I just wish that, if there's somebody out there that, has season tickets in the parquet and you can't go, or you own a company that owns those tickets, get them up on StubHub. I mean, put them up for $70 and give somebody a chance to sit there or whatever. I mean, that's always been a pet peeve of mine. I don't think we had season tickets in the parquet before we decided to have 2 more kids. And I don't think our seats ever sat empty. I mean, it just irritates me, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think next year, obviously the crowds have been great this year, but next year I think is going to be next level
Oh, yeah.
because of the seeing Gilbert in person. Like it's going to be assume like obviously we can't talk about next year because we have no idea about next year. Obviously it could be wash clean, and that's why it's kind of difficult. Because as a kid growing up, I always I love to build, obviously the video games made it so oh, okay, we're building here, but now it's just free for all. So we just gotta enjoy it while we can and have like I think this group really loves playing with each other. I think TJ loves coaching them, and I think the future couldn't be brighter at Iowa State. And we're in the thick. We're already in the bright spots right now, and it's
Yeah.
just crazy that we're already here. And obviously, the last couple of years we've had some success because the whole style change of defense has completely changed, put us in games where usually we're already blown out because we couldn't score. But the element is, I think our offense hasn't hit a ceiling yet, and that's pretty exciting for what this team is like ranked sixth already.
Yeah, I
So
mean, the Houston game, we had 3 threes that one of them goes in the first 10 minutes. It changed the whole complexity of the first half. And all 3 of them we missed right. Curtis, Milan, and Keyshawn all missed one to the right. Excuse me, Taman, Curtis, and Taman, Curtis, and Milan missed all 3, missed one to the right. And I think Keyshawn might have missed one as well. But yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, we're not anywhere close to peaking offensively. And I think, we can probably, obviously, I think Houston found a little bit of a crack in our armor when it comes to our defense too, because they were able to get baseline to the rim a couple times early in that game, and I think TJ adjusted to it. What did you think of the zone? I mean, when we went to that zone in the second half, I thought it was a good move. Your brother disagreed. I really thought it was kind of a curveball that we threw at Houston, because that was the most zone we played in that many straight possessions all year.
I think it was great because we were out rebounding by like 10 plus. So like that was my biggest concern, that we can't rebound off the zone, but it threw them for a curveball because their offense kind of fluttered after a while after that. And I just, anything TJ does, it's just like, I think everything he does is just like,
Well, it's a
most of the
fact.
time
I mean,
on defense is right.
when you switch to a zone, when you're going that fast, and you go back and watch it, it makes teams stand still,
Yeah.
because the defense is standing still, and so the offense starts doing the same thing. And they always say, move the ball against the zone. Well, the defenders are further away from the ball in a zone, so it's easier to steal when you're doing something that fast, moving the ball that fast. So I thought it was a good move. I mean, I haven't gone back and done the analytics on it to see, how many points did they get off of it. They did split our top 2 guys a couple times, got in the lane. But I think it served 2 purposes. Number one, it threw a curveball to more than 2 purposes. That threw a curveball to Houston. It slowed them down, because they were just, Shed is so strong. Heck, he looks like a freaking MMA fighter. He's so strong, and he could get in the lane at will. And then also, Tre was in a little bit of foul trouble, and I think we were on the verge of getting in some major foul trouble, and I think it kind of protected our kids a little bit from that. So I thought it was a good move. I mean, I'm not a big fan of our 1-3-1 because I think at the college level, a 1-3-1, players can torch it pretty easily because you get so many open threes from it. And it's the opposite diagonal pass is always open against the 1-3-1, it seems like. But I thought it was a great move. I mean, I think TJ is doing a phenomenal job. I mean, and we've got a recruit I just read that was supposed to come last weekend from Arizona that changed it to this weekend because he wanted his parents to come along. So that's got to be a good sign.
Yeah, and the weather's fantastic. Like
perfect timing.
Best winter weather in my
Get
lifetime.
all the recruits here this weekend.
Yeah, football too.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
it's like this every winter.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah. What do you think about obviously the Shieldhouse news coming right before the game kind of put the blimp on the week, the hype for the game, because like, I don't know, it just kind of see. Look, Iowa State has such a great run of like wins. We're just waiting for like something bad to happen. But I don't think it's not like devastation, but it just kind of sucks because I think Rocco had a OC. I would love to have. I think when quarterbacks get a different OC in a different system, it just completely flusters them in the like standing of like college career. Like I think there's so many past Iowa State quarterbacks that I think if they just simply had one OC the entire time, they would have had a way better career. And I think if we can somehow get like a young, talented OC that can come in and just do the same style and put in some new, whatever his style is too. But I don't know. I just having Rocco and all these core players coming back, I think helps a new OC coming in, and it happening now and not in the middle of summer helps too.
It's a third one in 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's never good. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, you gotta be, you can't blame him. Hell, he's
No.
33 years old. He gets a chance to go coach with Sean McVay. I mean, you gotta let him. Can't blame him. But here's a question for you: if we were 9-3 or had 10 wins last year, does he go?
I don't know. I don't know what his goals are in life. What he
Yeah, I
like
mean,
he
I don't
probably
know either. I mean, it's easier to leave when you know. I don't know. I mean, that's just that. I don't know. It's. I'm happy for him because I know he wasn't originally even a coach. I think he was a youth pastor at one time or something. But everybody says he's a good guy. I'm happy for him. Not happy for us, and don't have no idea who it can end up being. We don't have the budgets that a lot of these schools do to bring in, Bill Belichick or somebody like that. I mean, no, we don't
yeah.
have that kind of money, but
I would be
um,
way. The thing is, why it's not huge worrisome for me is because if it was Haycock, it would be
oh right,
everything's on fire. And if it's not Haycock or Campbell, I think we're fine because those two are like the huge stepping stones of the system, and our defense are how we win, not our offense.
but we're gonna be back to where we were last year, right? I mean, it took us a while. It took us a few weeks to get our legs under us on offense, and are we going to be doing the same thing this year? I mean, are we going to have to, wait a couple games to get everybody acclimated to our new OC? And I don't know. I guess Clanton used to call plays for you and I. I mean, I don't know. Paul Christ is still out there.
Yeah,
I
Brian
mean,
Ferentz,
yeah. Wouldn't that be funny?
just for like a game,
Brian Ferentz becomes our OC, and we absolutely just torch everybody.
just for like a
That
week,
would be hilarious.
just like for a week, just like to for a joke, and just like have him come. But I don't know.
Yeah,
The
never happened. I mean, there's no way,
I
but
I don't think he's
it
gonna.
would be funny.
I don't even know if he's gonna coach at all this upcoming year anywhere.
I'm sure the phone's not ringing off the hook.
No, but I
I
think
mean, he's probably getting the calls to be an offensive line coach or something like that,
yeah,
but maybe that's the play. Move Clan to OC and bring in Brian Ferentz as our offensive line coach.
no,
Yeah,
I
there's no.
think
I'm sure all the Iowa State fans are throwing stuff against the radio right now because I'm just kidding. I don't want that to happen, but yeah, I don't. Who knows? I mean, we got. It's too bad. It's time from a timing standpoint. It's February, but I don't know. And the women, I hope the women can, kind of get things turned around a little bit and get into the tournament. I mean, I know they're kind of hitting the wall, and that's pretty typical with playing that many freshmen. It's pretty obvious that the Big 12 strategy with Audie Crooks is knock her on the ground as many times as you can. I mean, this got to be taking its toll on her. They're just being so physical with her, and but they're still fun to watch. I'm still a huge Emily Ryan fan. She's tough as hell, and all those freshmen are playing so well that they're still worth the price of admission. There's no doubt. It'd be nice to sneak them into the tournament and get a couple and get to the second weekend with those guys. That'd be huge.
yeah, I think if Emily Ryan, I think obviously has been when she didn't play the early year. I think it's kind of now she's acclimated into her team, and Audie has just been fantastic. Like 19 points per game as a freshman in the Big 12 is insane.
Yeah.
Like that's like obviously I was just hoping that she'd like have some little success, but she's completely overblown my expectations.
Oh, and yeah, and I've heard rumors that she might have a teammate join her next year at Iowa State.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool. So we'll see if that plays out. But yeah, it's been fun to watch. I mean, everybody was questioning her coming from Bishop Garrigan and graduating with 35 kids in her class, whether she can make the transition. And I said, a long time ago that those guys, she played number one, she played pretty high level AAU most of her entire life. And, I thought back then, with Bishop Garrigan used to come to our local booster club tournament. And I know for a fact that I refereed Audie a couple of times in those games back when she was little. But Bishop Garrigan went out and chased down some bigger name schools to play when she was in high school too. So it wasn't like she'd never seen really good players. So I don't know. It'll be fun. Just got to keep her healthy, and they're freshmen. I mean, they turn it over too many times. We make silly mistakes every once in a while, but if we can keep this core group together, it'd be fun. I mean, what would this group look like with Lexi Donarski?
Yeah, I know. I don't even know what she's done. She done anything in North Carolina this
Yeah, I
year?
think she's out of the ones that have left. I think she's probably playing the best. The girl that went to Baylor, hardly plays. The girl that transferred 2 years ago from Iowa State and went to Iowa, she doesn't play much. So
No.
both of those guys will be starting.
Yeah,
this year if they
it
were here. But
just kind of sucks
it's really
because
an irrelevant an irrelevant conversation because
it already happened. It's
they
gone.
made their choice and likes to get paid. I mean, that's just the way it is. So
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Every time I see Tyrese Hunter, honestly, I have yet to see Tyrese Hunter play good at Texas like this
no,
year. Every time maybe just the timing of when I watch him, but it's just like man, I think he could have. I don't know. Obviously, looking back, it was 2 years ago that he transferred to Iowa State, but if he would be his style is just so much more at Iowa State, and like he would, it just
yeah,
sucks.
it's
But
money. I mean, let's not
it's all about money.
sugarcoat it.
Yeah, it's all about money.
It was purely about money. Had nothing to do with anything else, in my opinion. I mean, when I watched TJ and him shake hands after the Texas game, and TJ says something to him, and Tyrese gets a big smile on his face. I mean, I don't know. You're gonna have to, you know, do a lot of convincing to me that it wasn't entirely about the almighty dollar, which is kind of where all of this is heading right now. So they got to figure out a way to reel that in, or it's not going to get any better.
But if like a team like Houston or Iowa State wins the title this year, let's just say that. Like that would be a huge statement of like the NIL stuff's kind of not like the leader of like if you have the best NIL, you're going to win automatically.
Yeah,
That's still not the case when it comes to basketball, at least, because it's still five guys. It's still team chemistry. There's so much goes involved, and like with being at Iowa State, like money's not the number one thing. It's probably like the eighth or ninth thing. I think that's bodes well for like team chemistry and just like drama in the locker room. Just like if you're
right.
worrying about payments, it's
Oh,
like man, I could have got where's my $40,000 payment from Phil and company or whatever. Maybe it's like oh you're not playing as well, so you're not getting the money anymore. Like those type of
right.
things.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting closer. I mean, to them to being employees, and we've talked about this before. I'll say it again. You know, if the players end up being employees, now you're dealing with unemployment if they get fired, and you're also dealing with workman's comp if they get hurt.
I mean,
So if somebody blows their knee,
yeah, but
yeah,
we paid how much money for Prom to walk away, or how much like
yeah.
there's coaches that get paid like Charlie Weiss. He got paid three different teams at one point, millions of
Yeah.
dollars from three different teams to not coach.
Is Prom still getting paid?
I don't know. He was back in Iowa this year, or in
Yeah,
Drake. Not sure if they won or not, but
yeah. Drake's leading their league too, I think, aren't they?
yeah, it's just I
Yeah,
wish we could play them just so we like know the names of the players. Like when we watch them the first time, it's like oh, then we
yeah,
watch them throughout the year, and then when we're in the tournament, it's not like oh, we're learning the players' names as the tournament's going on.
yeah.
I think back in the day we knew like who was on UNI, who was on Drake, but now it's like Iowa State and Iowa fans. Why would you pay attention? You have no reason
Yeah,
to.
we don't. I mean, yeah, and that's one thing I would like that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of us playing you and I in football, but I do think, you know, alternating it, 1 year playing you and I, 1 year playing Drake is good for everybody. I mean, because it's not bad basketball
No, and they're both good. They have
by any means.
good coaches and good programs like throughout
Yeah.
the. So yeah, it's.
Tucker DeVries is a real deal. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
Darren's son. I mean, he's the only one that I can name off of their team
I
right now.
vividly remember when they were like really good in the tournament. They're playing Western Kentucky and they lost on a buzzer beater. I remember I was crushed. I was like, oh, that sucks because that team was so good and they absolutely murdered us. I think in
Yep.
Hilton that year.
Wasn't that with Keno Davis? Was he the coach
And there was
then?
a Corver on that team, I think, too.
Yeah,
And man, that team
yeah,
was fun to watch because Iowa State basketball at that point was nothing to watch because we were
no,
searching for teams to watch in the tournament. And I think that's why we kind of, like we're so used to it now. They're making the tournament, like making the tournament is just so freaking awesome. Just like getting
yeah.
into the tournament and just like, all right, we're playing
That
who?
week,
It's just so awesome. Like now that we're like, we have expectations to it attached to it by like the media. Obviously, that doesn't really bode well for like obviously Tinsley, Hampton game, and UAB, but it's just fun to be talked about in a positive light. And when we don't lose in Hilton, I think it's very hard for people to not talk good about us because when we defend Hilton, it's just like we're in the like way up in the conference standings, and we're playing the best style. Other than obviously Houston and us are 50-50, flip a coin who's playing the best on each weekend. But style wise and coaching wise, I think we have the best going forward into March. I think that's why Houston and Iowa State should be the ones talked about, not Kansas. Because if Kansas has one guy roll his ankle, they're done.
yeah. If Dickinson goes
They're
down,
done.
uh, their point guard goes down. I mean, yeah, they don't have a lot coming off the bench.
No,
I
like
mean, I said that a long time ago. And they're one. If McClure goes down again, I mean, they're in trouble. But
And I think we should be playing Jackson way more in the next couple weeks. Get Lipsy healthy as
yeah,
much as he can.
Jackson handled the physicality of the game this weekend, or the Houston game, pretty well. I mean, I watched him specifically, and he was getting banged around quite a bit, but he handled it pretty well.
He
So yeah,
played
we're
four
gonna
minutes.
to get Taman right. He's gonna have to play.
Jackson played
Which
4 minutes.
yeah, when it was all
Yeah.
the first half too, right?
But like those 4 minutes, like against Texas, like he had what 5 points and
Yeah,
great defense, and that's exactly what we're searching for. I'm sure. Obviously, it's just weird for him. Like obviously, he was like freshman player of the year in his conference last year, and it's just nice. I think we need those type of players that love their roles. I think he
yeah,
loves his role to come in, get some good offense, get some positive energy going, and the way he plays on defense, and he's hustling his ass off the entire time,
yeah.
and we just love having those players. And man, Tre King, those threes, I was like, every time I was like, what? And he just swishes them every time, and like he has the confidence, like he's gonna make it every time. So why can't we have the confidence? Because I think we should start building confidence that Tre King is gonna make big shots, because he has against big time opponents every time. He nails them.
Yeah, the thing that I was most pleased with watching that game is the moment wasn't too big for anybody.
Nope.
Maybe Demarion. I mean, Demarion came in and was a little nervous possibly, but I don't think the moment was too big for anybody. I mean, so and I just watching the body language of the Houston players, they're pretty jacked up to play us. So that shows a lot of respect too. So
I mean, they probably thought we should have lost him the first time, but
yeah,
it's just fun. It's just a fun back and forth, and man, that's why like the round robin is just was so awesome in the Big 12, and
yeah,
it just sucks that we might have like obviously I would love to play Baylor like this weekend rather than West Virginia.
yeah.
That would be way I don't know.
You go to
Obviously,
Allen Fieldhouse.
we can't overgloss West Virginia because they can put a game together and shock us because that's just the way they do it. And but yeah, the Curtis
Yeah,
Jones and
yeah.
Tre
We
King's
it would
threes.
if that happens, it's on us. It's not because of something they did.
Yeah, Tre King and like the moment being too big. There's one where Gilbert was on the line. We went to it was break. It's like all right, there's commercials going on. I'm like all right, if Gilbert hits both these free throws, we're gonna be back into it. And then he clanks up 1-on-1.
Yeah,
It's like man, and then turns it over twice or whatever.
yeah. When we're up 5. I mean,
But
he had
every
we had
time he hits a big shot, just
yeah.
nails it.
Well, the one person we haven't mentioned yet, which I can't believe, is Curtis Jones.
Yeah,
I mean, he's playing lights out. I mean, you watch him in that game. He's smiling. He's having fun. He thought that whole thing was a blast. So he hit the first big three was by him as well. In the first half, that kind of got us going a little bit. So yeah, I think we're on the cusp of doing something pretty special here. And so is this the year? We talked about the Hampton game, we've talked about the UAB game, but is this the year we flip the script and we get hot and we get into the Elite Eight or even beyond a little bit? I mean, it's been a long time since we've been to the Elite Eight.
yeah, it really has, and yeah, especially
I
for
watched Purdue and Ohio State Sunday. Neither one of those. Purdue sure doesn't scare me. I mean,
yeah. I
their
don't think
big guy obviously is good, but
any of the team in the country doesn't scare me because we
no,
play the way we play. The style of defense just pisses other teams off, keep people off
right?
so much, and it just takes them out of the rhythm so much. And it's like, I don't know, it's just fantastic. I don't know. I did not expect like TJ coming into Iowa State and just making us a defensive juggernaut. That was not on the cards for me. Like
Yeah,
especially the Fred Hoiberg era, there's obviously was no signs of that, and obviously TJ probably wasn't in charge of the defense, but should have been. But we're here now, and we got freaking awesome players. And like Robert Jones, say what you want about him, every time he's just solid. And
oh yeah,
and like the ones where he just misses a couple layups, just like you take that. But the rest, he's a great passer, one of the best probably passing big men in Iowa State history, honestly.
had a couple big steals too. I mean, when we needed them, that was when we were kind of getting throttled in the first half. He had a couple really big steals. So
And he
then he
doesn't
had that
panic.
first bucket. The flying acrobatic 2-point shot he took flying across the lane on that fast break. I mean, I think that even surprised Fran Fraschilla a little bit. So yeah, Rob is playing lights out right now too. So it's been fun. We just got to keep it rolling here to get through the last couple of weeks of February, and and stay healthy and get to the Big 12 tournament and see what happens.
We just need to sell out the rest of the year. Sell them
Yep.
completely. Everyone show up. All the students. It's like weather's great. You can stay in line forever. Tent. You could probably camp now. Start camping now and for seats and obviously won't have like kids like Will who come in and budge, but you're gonna have that.
Well, I mean, you could Saturday the students still could have got in and after the game started. There were still a few seats in the top row left. So yeah, I agree with you. We need to fill it up. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be a nice walk in rather than the walk we had last Saturday. And
Yeah, because like
should
the
be
parking
fun.
parking situation, like when the conference started, I'm just like, man, this is gonna be an issue. But like the weather is just completely taking that away. It's like, oh, I'll walk
Yeah.
forever.
Well, and we wanted to go to Wallabies after the game Saturday, and we walk in there and said, when I got there as fast as I possibly could, and it was already an hour and a half wait. And
Yeah.
then George Condit walks in, and they said it was an hour and a half wait for him. I said, really?
You went to the Sweet 16.
George doesn't even get any love from Wallabies? You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, he Sweet 16. Like my opinion on that guy changed completely. It's like he took us. He helped a huge part of why we went to the Sweet 16.
Did
Like,
you see the jacket he was wearing?
yeah, it was pretty sick.
It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's been obviously this is our 100th episode, and appreciate
Yeah.
everyone listening and supporting us the entire time. And we just do it for fun and for passion about Cyclones, and just get this on wax because someday we'll have to come back and rewatch these, and it's just fun. I obviously imagine if you had some of these back in the day of the Pfizer years, we can go back and listen to. It's like, oh man,
my
what was I thinking? It's like, oh man, Kentrell can't guard up, or it was like, what are we doing? Like you could have been like, there's probably podcasts back in the day where you're like, why does Tinsley turn it over every
Right.
single game 5 times? But
Yeah.
it's just funny how.
Or doing a podcast when Larry had his issues. I mean, that would
Yeah,
have
right.
been interesting, especially since I kind of was in, had a front row seat to part of it. So I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. I can't believe it's already the hundredth episode, but we just keep asking people. If we want to keep it growing, we're not trying to make money on it. We haven't chased a single sponsor yet, and we're probably not going to because that's not the whole point of this. Tell your friends. We'd like to get our listenership up a little bit, and if you want a T-shirt, go to soundthesirens.com, and we've got hats there too. And but if you don't want a shirt, that's fine. Just keep listening and tell your
Yep.
friends. Give us, if you're listening to us on Spotify and you're not subscribed yet, please do. And if you haven't subscribed to an Apple Podcast yet, please do. And just share it with your friends. And Thomas has got a pretty good Twitter following. So if you want to give Thomas a shout out on Twitter, do that. And got a suggestion of what you want us maybe to talk about sometime, we're welcome to do that too. So.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate you guys listening again. And yeah, we'll have some recap of the next games upcoming. And I think it's just so fun to be a Cyclone fan. Man, it's just every
That's right.
time it's just like we had so many down years where it's like, why the hell are we watching still? Like, why do I care so much? But it's like when we're playing well, it's just like it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just like it's all like just looking around. It's just like all these people bringing their families and it's like doing the juicy wiggle with like their old like. It's just so beautiful, like watching Hilton, like back to like positive vibes, and like not everyone would go to Hilton back in the day and just like kind of dread it. It's like we wish we could have like the play that we used to have, and now like we're going to the games we're like expecting to win. Like if we lose, it'd be a huge shock, which is
well. I remember the days that being a team like this was pie in the sky, that it was never happen. Winning at Kansas, I can remember the day we thought that would never happen. We just never thought that we could ever get to that level, and now we're here.
Yeah, we were to a point where we were as a fan, I was expecting to come back and win at a number 2 team ranked on the road.
Yeah,
to be the leader of the conference, like crazy. Like I just remember like sitting in my apartment before I made this podcast with Bryce Bradley and just like watching proms last year. I'm just like, why do we freaking care so much? Why do we watch? Like, there's no fans in the stands. We're still watching this team like get killed by 40, and just like flip a switch. Like TJ gets Jazz, gets Brockington, Tyrese Hunter stays. Getting Green from UNI was huge.
Yeah,
huge play.
That's probably the most understated thing that you've ever said. I mean, I think that's something that we don't talk near enough about is getting Green has been a game changer.
And obviously, like, we thought at the point, like, okay, we got Green, maybe we can get his son. Like, but like, and that
Yeah,
didn't even happen. But like, it doesn't even matter. Like, he's just probably a fantastic recruiter and fantastic coach. And I think
yeah,
obviously TJ gets the credit for a lot of it, but those assistants, man, those they are rock solid.
yeah. Eric Crawford, former UNI guy too. I mean, he's fantastic. So does Houston end up being number one next? If Houston wins Saturday, are they number one next week?
I mean, yeah, they should. Their best conference. UConn loses, I think.
And in the analytics thing that I'm looking at, when they classify rank the teams, this is on this statistician's guys. All of the stats he uses. He's got Purdue number one, Arizona two, Houston. This is up to date as of today. Purdue number one, Arizona two, Houston three, UConn still four, and they've got us down to 13.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. The statistics don't play the game.
And like weirdly, us losing that Houston game puts us in better shot to be at Omaha. Weirdly, I think.
Yeah, I
Just
think we got
according
to
to what
be
I
at
saw.
three at least, don't we?
Yeah, I think, but we lost and we didn't move at all in bracketology. We went up on Ken Palm, so
Yeah.
I think if we just keep winning at home and don't lose that UCF game, that's probably the kicker.
Well, don't lose any of those that we should win. I mean, if you're watching the UConn game last night, that's where the Omaha regional site is. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the stadium itself. So
That'll be fun if we can make it there. And obviously, we still have Kansas City, which is still there, and
yeah, and
always
we
a great
probably
time,
might not be playing then till Thursday. So
which is crazy.
there'll be teams that'll be long gone out of Kansas City by the time we get there.
Which yeah, it's fun times ahead. Losing Nate loss sucks, but I think everything overall is probably positive. Like we got a top
Yep.
10 team. We got Audie Crooks, the freshman, is going to be a stud for women's basketball. The last of the Bill Friendly era, I think. He said that when like in the press conference this year that this is like the last group he's going to have until he retires.
Oh,
So
yeah,
he's got to enjoy it while he can. And man,
that's right. That's
it's
right.
good to be a
Enjoy
Cyclone
the
fan.
weather too.
Yep. Appreciate you guys, everyone listening, and go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones.